Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions, bearer of the light of God, the light shining infinitely. We start with the light of divine being, identity. In the light of divine being, in honesty of God, in our direct experience, is there anything other than light here? We can all know this. This is the answer to the question. Is there more than one light? Can there be more than one light? There's just light. And then there's an idea of what happened to the light. But now we see, as we look with Jesus every day at the denials, oh, it's a denial. I want to experience the no to God and no to myself. And I like it. Actually, that's the drill down that Jesus is showing us, to drill down deep with him and go all the way down. Let's ask the question, in the light of divine being, is it a problem to look directly at what's in the basement? Does the light have a challenge with seeing anything in the basement? Anything in our subconscious mind? Is the light like intimidated, want to run? Does the light see anything other than supreme innocence in our direct experience as light beings? This can't be found in the light. So Jesus is offering, let's just go for the gusto and just look and just see if we blow up, disappear, fall apart, all the things that other voice would say. As we really just fulfill today's lesson by saying, I will only hear thoughts of God. That's it. Only thoughts of God for us today. As we explore the miracles, the 50 miracle principles. So I think we did through 32, or might have gotten further. We're going to back up a little bit because there's some good stuff here. One of my favorite topics, which is celestial order. Is the light celestial order? And here's the answer. It's like going, and are we celestial beings? Is the earth our home? And hear what the light says. See, we know these things already. We all know them. Miracles place us beyond physical laws. They raise you into the sphere of celestial order. Is celestial order most natural to us in the light of divine being? In our direct experience, we just listen to the light. That's what's natural. And with that, then we have the contrast between what's unnatural, the denial of divinity, and identity, true identity. What I really like about celestial order. In this order, you are perfect. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, are we perfect? We're perfect. Is the light saying no? This is why we're learning to follow the voice that tells us we're perfect. Not perfectly fine. We know which voice is the voice that where we know, and it's just perfection. Not as a person. Can a person be perfect in the light of divine being? The person is there to deny divine perfection, and they get in a fight over what perfection is. To duke it out with perfection. That's the whole desire of the ego, is to duke it out with infinite perfection. Which one do you think do we feel is going to win? Which one? Does the light even get involved in any kind of wars or fight, or it just is? It's in fullness. It doesn't have to defend. It just is. Total, whole, and complete. In this order, you are perfect. Then the humility comes in that's necessary to admit, okay, Jesus, you're right. I'm denying light. So I need miracles. And I said this yesterday, and he's just reminding me, ask. You can't ask for too many miracles. And we were watching The Bourne Ultimatum today. And Jesus was reminding me, okay, look how different things are when you're looking constantly for the miracle. That's looking for love in all the right places. In the movie, looking for love in all the right places is to see no error. So the light training is to focus on the light, watch the movie with the light, because we can hear the light. If we want to watch a movie and hear the light tell us all about it, what we need to know, will light answer every question? See, this is the means by which we can learn very quickly, unlearn the ideas of a personal identity. Is let the light teach us. Miracles honor you because you're lovable. Are we lovable? Are there any doubt thoughts? Let's just look at that. Are there any doubt thoughts below our level of awareness? Jesus, show us, there are any doubts that we're lovable? And if those arise and you hear yes, okay, great. Now we have something to look at with the light of divine being. And see whether that's true in the light of divine being. Because it's that doubt thought, he's bringing it into our awareness because we need miracles because we have doubt that we are lovable. The whole egoic thought system, we'll ask the light, is the whole egoic thought system the desire to experience being unlovable and searching for love to become, becoming lovable. If I'm a better person, I will be lovable. So we start to see the trick. So miracles don't even look at that, whether we're lovable or not. They just say, you're entitled to miracles. Jesus didn't anywhere in this book go, does the light say anywhere you're not entitled to miracles? The light doesn't say that. Light, what does the light say about miracles? You are the miracle. Miracles are just honor you because you're lovable. They dispel illusions about yourself and perceive the light in you. So they put the spotlight right on the light. Rather than, so we're so used to putting that spotlight, well, actually we're used to shining a dark light on a dark place. Is the ego shining a dark light in a dark place? It's like, so he's untraining. We're untraining that play in consciousness to shine a dark light in a dark place and go, God, it's dark in here. So they're shifting perception toward perception of light, infinite light, acceptance of light. They thus atone for your errors of thought by freeing you from your nightmares. Are there any, let's just look and see if there's any desires for nightmares. Just ask the light. Do I have any deniers for nightmares? Do we have any desires for nightmares in there? He says, yes. Okay. So matter of fact, all right. Ask the light, will you help me to see through all these nightmares? And hear what the light says. That's the purpose of miracles. To shine the light everywhere and see that there's no darkness anywhere. It's the only function. By releasing your mind from the imprisonment of your illusions, they restore your sanity. So let's just ask the proverbial question so we can hear it in the light of divine being. If we're following the ego thought system, are we behaving insanely? See what the light says. So really have to be present with that. Because the ego goes, oh, no, you're not insane. But seeing the insanity, that's skidding. That's the grease that skids us out. Oh, yeah, this is really nuts. If we're in light all the time, Is there any exception to the light being here in our direct experience that we can find? So the light's here all the time. Would it be insane if the light's here to help us? Is the light willing to help us in our direct experience light? Now, would it be insane not to accept the help of the light? See, that's part of the insanity play within consciousness. To pretend to be afraid of the light. Is that a play in consciousness in our direct experience as light beings? And in honesty of God, is there anything to fear of light? Infinite light. Miracles, they restore your sanity. Are miracles in our direct experience, which is with the light, for the restoration of our sanity? And hear the light say, and hear the light go, yep. Miracles restore the mind to its fullness. So we're so used to living in fragments, the decision in consciousness to be fragments. By atoning for lack, they establish perfect protection. The spirit's strength leaves no room for intrusions. Let's just check that out. In our direct experiences, light beings, does the spirit's strength leave no room for intrusions? You can see the light is just lined up by direct experience with everything that's in this book so far that we've looked at, starting with the first miracle principles. We know this is true. Do we already know this is true? Well, let's ask the light. We know this is true. Well, we're just being reacquainted because we pretended to forget for a little while. We can ask, is the Course in Miracles a required course? That's the light, what it says. So now we're looking at the collapse of time. How quickly would we like to take this curriculum? So now Jesus is really delivering out. Here's lightning speed. Honesty of God. Admit the denials. See that you're light first. Admit the denials. Put the denials in the light and cease to deny. That's the fastest way. Like all the energetic investment is looking at that and follow the light. As we said, staple yourself to Jesus and go. Staple ourselves to the light. Miracles are expressions of love, but they may not always have observable effects. Because who's the one that's looking for an effect? See, the ego looks for its interpretation of what's happening. And the miracle is a movement from beyond form. Let's just ask, is a miracle an expression from beyond form in the light of divine being? See, it's not in form. It's the culmination of miracles that by washing the mind, then peace, our natural state, is just recognized. It's just natural. Again, the restoration of celestial order in our recognition. Because is celestial order come and go? In the light of divine being, can we find it? Okay, it walks out the door, takes a holiday, and then it's always here. We're taking a hell holiday, is what we're doing by investing in the ego. Miracles are example of right thinking, aligning your perception with the truth as God created it. Are we the truth as God created it? In the light of divine being in our direct experience? See that we're the truth already. It's the dishonesty. It's the self-dishonesty where we need that light to show us where we're being the delusional. Investing in the othernesses, the play of consciousness to say no to ourselves. A miracle is a correction introduced into false thinking by me, by Jesus. Let's just ask and be clear in the light on that sentence. Is a miracle correction introduced into false thinking by Jesus? Light doesn't say no to that. That's the power of God talking right there. Is that introduction beyond form? See, we don't have to even, we can go beyond the book with everything that's written here because we're divine beings and we already know this. Is this coming from beyond consciousness? These miracles in our direct experience, these are coming directly from infinite light. Jesus isn't messing around in consciousness. Well, he's super consciousness, the way the voice comes. But it's far beyond consciousness, the power that comes with this, carried with that voice. A miracle is a correction, okay, introduced into false thinking by me. It acts as a catalyst, breaking up erroneous perception and reorganizing it. So we're getting reorganized. Let's just ask. Have a little fun with Jesus on this one. The light of divine being. Are we being reorganized? Yes, the idea we have of ourselves is being reorganized because we think we have a little self-concept. That little self-concept. This places you under the atonement principle where perception is healed. So perception needs to be reorganized. Ask, does perception need to be organized in our direct experience? So it's false precept. It's the precept of objects apart rather than seeing experience in wholeness. We're so used to, I know that David says that, to see an apple as separate is violence. We can ask the divine light that. To see an object as separate from ourselves, is that violence? And hear what the light says. To see that as separate, this pair of glasses is separate from us, that's violence. So the light knows that. That's why it's reorganizing. We have to reorganize perception so that objects we do not perceive them as separate from ourselves in the play of consciousness, which makes it the desire to have these glasses feel separate or have our brother feel separate. This places you under atonement principle where perception is healed, unified. So we perceive in oneness, in totality. Until this has occurred, knowledge of the divine order is impossible. So we can ask, see, is knowledge of divine order impossible in fragmentation with false perception? Because we made it to make it seem like we cannot have knowledge of divine order. You know, we take out the apple, we walk over to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the garden, and we take a bite of it. So that true knowledge, the light, the intimacy with the communication with light is obscured, is denied. So we can't see it. Yet we know the light's here. So we know this light will lead us the way back. The Holy Spirit is the mechanism of miracles. He recognizes both God's creations and your illusions. So we can ask, so we get to know the Holy Spirit a little bit more, deeper recognition of the Spirit. Let's just see if that's true in the light of divine being. Does the Holy Spirit recognize God's creations and illusions? Now, here's the second question for the Holy Spirit in the light of divine beings. Does the Holy Spirit, does that mean the Holy Spirit thinks our illusions are real? So it doesn't think our illusions real. So it's given, though, to understand and help us move from the levels of mind that we're at until we perceive in wholeness. He separates the true from the false by his ability to perceive totally. See, the Holy Spirit perceives in wholeness until we're fully aligned to perceive in wholeness. So we need the whole to show us where we're perceiving in part. We can ask the light that. Do we need what perceives in whole, the Holy Spirit, to help us see where we're perceiving in part? In the light of divine being. That's why we need the help of the Holy Spirit and the light to help us perceive in whole and show us where we're not, where we're choosing not to perceive in wholeness. The miracle dissolves error because the Holy Spirit identifies errors are false or unreal. This is the same as saying that by perceiving light, darkness automatically disappears. In our direct experience as light beings, when we perceive light, and we're looking at the light right now and recognizing light, can we find darkness in there? In our direct experience. Everywhere we look, can we find darkness anywhere in there? So if darkness is being perceived, then there's a desire for the perception. Let's ask, in the light of divine being, if we're perceiving any darkness, is there a desire for that perception? So Jesus, and then we just ask, I'd like a miracle on that desire for perception. Can we ask for a miracle? Let's ask the light. Can we ask for a miracle on the desire for darkness, false perception? So to perceive in wholeness. This is the same thing as seeing that perceiving light, darkness automatically disappears. So we can see the speed of the correction. Here's the speed. How quick is let's ask the light. How quick is a correction? Is it like, does it take hours? What does the light say? Does it take minutes? Or does the light of supreme being have the power to immediately have a correction? Immediately, as soon as it's seen. Do we have that level of power? What does the light say? And does the light say anything? Does the light say there's difficulty in order of miracles? In the light of divine being, is there any difficulty in the order of miracles? Anywhere in the light of divine being, can we find it? So we know as light beings there's no difficulty, but the play of consciousness plays as though there are all kinds of orders of difficulty, because that's the desired experience, that miracles be difficult. We were just talking about that. That's the desired experience for it to be difficult to wake up to the light. So we can ask Jesus, this is a good one to ask for a miracle on. Is there any desire below my level of awareness to make awakening difficult? Listen carefully if he says yes, for sure, because that will manifest for sure, 100%. We'll just ask the light, do my desires manifest? And hear the light, yes. So it's good. So if he says yes, we just ask for a miracle. Like, Jesus, I'm willing to see this a different way, the desire for a difficult awakening. I'm willing to see that desire in the light of truth, that it's untrue, that the light holds no difficulty in my awakening. My recognition of divinity. Any idea that I have to work hard for a spiritual awakening, is there any desire for that below my level of awareness? That's a good one to clear out quick too. Otherwise it's going to feel like a hell ride. And if he says yes, when we ask the light and it says, yes, there's a desire down there, and then to say, Jesus, I'm asking for a miracle. I'm willing to see that differently. I'm willing to see any desire to make this difficult. any desire to deny my divine power to accept as many miracles as you're willing to send me, as many as I can ask for. The miracle acknowledges everyone as your brother and mine. It is a way of perceiving the universal mark of God. Oh my gosh. Miracle acknowledges everyone as your brother. Let's ask. See, it's the perfect equality. Look in the light and see, does the light see differences? Can the light see any difference between any brother when we look as the light? Does the light just recognize light? That's all it knows. So in the play of consciousness, the consciousness comes there in the denial of divinity and then plays in differences. Is consciousness a play of differences? So we can see the discernment between infinite light, which is sameness, is the celebration of the totality of sameness. I used to think that sounded horrible. That's the I speaking. The I thinks sameness is terrible. Sameness is the celebration of all that is. Infinite light. So the miracle is the great equalizer. It's the great clearing out any desire for an experience of differences. You will feel unloved. We can ask the light that. Jesus, if there is any desire below my level of awareness to have an experience of differences, will I feel unloved? And hear the answer. So if we're feeling fear, unlove, any of those things, that's the desire for experience of differences, of fragments. So the miracle is to help us see our brother in his true light, which is ourselves, to see ourselves as one, as the light that we already are. It acknowledges sameness and all, and sameness with Jesus. Let's just ask. In the light, are we the same as Jesus? Jesus is our brother, a wise brother, worth listening to for sure. In our direct experience, we can hear that light talking to us. But I love this sentence. Wow. It is a way of perceiving the universal mark of God. It's right perception to see the mark of God. God is in everything I see by direct experience. That's the gift of the miracle. To see everything in sameness and one with the Father. Wholeness is the perceptual content of miracles. This is so amazing. Every time you look at one of these, it's like, oh my gosh, what is this book? Where did this is amazing. Wholeness is the perceptual content of miracles. They're the gift of the memory of wholeness, that it's already here. In the light, are we already whole, complete? In our direct experiences, light beings, are we complete? The only way we can feel happy is feeling complete and whole. So now we ask Jesus, is there any desire below my level of awareness to feel incomplete? And if the yes goes ahead, if we hear it, it's like, okay. See, there's no guilt here. That's why the light circles are so helpful, because it's the guilt-free zone. It's just a looking zone for the disease of the addiction to consciousness. And then we go, all right, good. Now I can see that's there. Now I know I need a miracle, because that's percept of partial. Any denial of wholeness is the desire for partial perception. And then I just say, okay, Jesus, I see it there. I'm willing to see it another way. I'm willing for a miracle to see this differently. I'm going to ask them, is there any desire below my level of awareness for partial? experience of fragmentation. Okay, and just ask for a miracle. We're talking about miracles. We're asking for miracles for happiness for 24/7. He says we don't ask for enough. I'm asking, like I said yesterday, I'm asking for the entire enchilada. Through the power of divine being represented here, 24/7 perfect happiness. And that requires whole perception. Ask the light. Does that require unified perception? Because fragmentation is unhappiness. It's the signal that we've denied ourselves. They thus correct or atone for the faulty perception of lack, the desire for an experience of lack. We can ask, in the light of divine being, do miracles atone for the desire to feel lacking? A major contribution of miracles is their strength in releasing you from your false sense of isolation, deprivation, and lack. Here we are, lack. He emphasizes, and when we look through the course, boy, he goes into that quite deeply. And we're certainly looking at that deeply in all the light circles. A major contribution. So this is where we can really go in right here and look deeply at what's below our awareness. So let's dig into this a little bit right here. While we're in the miracle principles, we might as well get as many miracles as we can here. So, okay, from your false sense of isolation. So Jesus, in the light of divine being, will you reveal to me any false sense of isolation that's below my level of awareness? I'm willing to see it. Any desire for a false sense of isolation. And if he says yes, we're just going for it together. The power of divine being saying, I am willing to see the desire for a false sense of isolation differently, the wanting of that. And just place that wanting feeling, that desire right into the light of divine being. And see if it lasts in the light of divine being. And to see if that desire is more powerful than a request for a miracle. And then we look at their strength in releasing you from your false sense of isolation, deprivation. Okay, so let's just go right into it. All righty. Jesus, is there any desire below my level of awareness for an experience of deprivation? I'm willing to see it with you. And I'm asking for a miracle. May I give that to you? Ask him. It's really beautiful to hear him say yes. He likes it anyway. Can I turn that over to you? That desire for an experience of deprivation. And hear what the light says. Is this a good place to have a miracle? Ask Jesus. Is this a good place? If that experience of deprivation, is this a good place? And hear what the light says. This is just a dialogue we can have all the time. So Jesus, I'm asking for a miracle with this experience of deprivation, and we just put it right in the light of divine being. And what happens to that experience, that desire? Is that desire more powerful than a miracle? In our direct experience? And now we go to lack. The desire for an experience of lack. Jesus, is there any desire for an experience of lack below my level of awareness? Will you help me with this? I'm willing to see this another way. Will you show me a miracle? I'd like to ask for a miracle for this experience of lack, this desire for lack. Jesus, am I more powerful than this desire for an experience of lack? Miracles arise from a miraculous state of mind or a state of miracle readiness. We can ask, are light circles a state of miracle readiness in here? They help induce that state, yes, Jesus says. Because we're coming together and joining in truth. It's the power of the one mind celebrating itself and willing to see itself differently. See itself as one, to see no brother separate. The miracle is an expression of inner awareness of Christ and the acceptance of his atonement. We can hear that deep inside ourselves. Is the miracle an expression of inner awareness of Christ? Inner awareness of the light within. It honors the light within. In acceptance of his atonement. Is the miracle the acceptance of atonement? So it feels like that will be complete for today on the miracles. I'm just going to mention here, because there's been a little discussion in the group about discussion, and just to make sure that anyone new who's come on here and didn't hear me speak about that, and really how what Jesus is calling for in the light circles is different from he's just showing us the power we have to really contemplate divinity, actually, and to develop that deep dialogue with him. Starting with the light first, we have that power, asking him to reveal the denials, giving the denials to the miracle, and just really focusing the mind on this. That's not to say other means, it's just this is the means that's given right now. Now, what happens is because of the desire for a story, or as we first start seeing, hey, wait, I'm the light. And I love that about Mooji. He says, don't discuss that. Be that. See, the ego wants to discuss what it's found, and I found this, and then it gets to be an argument about what light is. You know, it's a play in consciousness. And Jesus is saying, no, sit with me with this. Go very deep inside. Sit with me. And so many of the beings that I'm connecting with, it's been so inspiring. They're really going deep and going, yeah, man, I see this tonight. I see how much I really want this. I really want to deny divinity. I can see it. So it's a very quick trip as soon as we really start seeing where we're saying no to ourselves and admit that no, and then letting him, working with him. So we work on, okay, show me that no, and this no, and this no, and miracle, 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 miracle. So the miracle itself doesn't become like a story. Like, it's good in that messenger group. What's been expressed has been so great because people are they're expressing one direct experience, and they're putting questions on there, and it's always pointing back to, recognition and what Jesus is telling them. Because that's where we want to get to. We want to get to where we're really expressing from what Jesus is telling us and what that voice is saying inside, right? And saying his words and saying truth and admitting the denials, of course. I see where I'm denying myself. I see, that's really helpful in the beginning. And us joining, that it's, so that's really the reasons why there's not really a Facebook page open for discussion. It's really that iMessenger group, or if we want to visit it's always purposeful. It's always, we're going to come together and see what's true. That's, and that's already happening among beings in the group, which is really fantastic. And of course, we're available. It's a 24/7 gig around here. If we're available, I feel like it's our function here at the center for joining. So we thank you. We love you. We're grateful for this, Jesus. And we're going all the way to the house of supreme happiness. Amen. Love from San Juan Costa, Mexico.